In the last lesson, we saw numbers, how to use them in arithmetic operations. Knowing arithmetic operations in Python is useful, but knowing how to use variables can turn your Python into more than just a calculator. Using variables is easy and simple, and it has more advantages. But what is this variable? So variable is nothing but a name given to something. It's similar to like Rahul is a name given to a human being. It's similar to that. So variables can have any name related to the value that they store. So let's see the syntax of the variable. So when you create a variable, you give name of the variable, then equal to sign, and then the value that you want to assign to that variable. Here, equal to sign is a assignment operator. It is different than we see in mathematics. In mathematics, we use equal to sign as an equality operator, where if I have x equal to y, I can always write that as y equal to x, and it's one and the same thing. But in Python, it's an assignment operator. So always your variable that you want to create will be on the left side, and the value that you want to assign to that variable will be on the right side of that assignment operator. So as an example, age is a variable which stores a value 34 which is assigned to it. Height is a variable which is assigned a value 5.5. Name is a variable which is assigned a value Rahul. So we can create a variable and assign it any of the values, whether it can be a number or it can be a string. Now let's see the examples of. Now let's create a simple variable. Let's say I say age, assign it a value 34. Okay, it's as simple as that. So you give name of the variable, equal to sign, and the value. Now if I type age, it will print the value which is assigned to it. I can also create variables which are like this. So I say I create x equal to 10, y equal to x, and it will assign the value which is assigned to x to y. So here if you see, I can get value y as 10. So what has happened over here is I assigned x with value 10, and then I assigned x as a value to the y. So here it's completely different than what we see in mathematics. In mathematics, we would have said we are comparing y with x. We don't know what is the value of y, but we are trying to comparing it. Now let's say we assign value 32 to y. Okay. Now if I print y, it will be 32. So now I have assigned value 32 to y. Now again if I say y equal to x, it will assign the value of x to y again. So it's completely different than what you see in mathematics. Here it is assigning whatever the value is there on the right side to the name on the left side. I can also write something like this: x equal to y plus 10. And let's see the value of x. It's now 20. Earlier it was 10. So now here we know that the y is having value 10, and we added 10 to it. So obviously x became 20. Now if I try to print y, it is still 10. Okay, so now we can see that the value which is assigned to y was actually the value which is assigned to x. But here when I said x equal to y plus 10, What it did is it replaced that y with value 10 and added 10 to it, and then the total of that is assigned to x, which has now 20 in it, and y still holds 10 inside it. If let's say I say something like this, x equal to z, it will give an error. And read the error properly. It says name error because the name z is not defined, which is clearly saying that the interpreter do not know what is that z. It has assumed that it is a variable, but there is no value assigned to it. Hence, it is giving an error that z is not defined. Now, if I said z equal to 34 and x equal to z, x is now holding value 34. Python also allows us to create variables with values something like x comma y comma z equal to 1 comma 2 comma 3, and it will assign 1 to x, 2 to y, and 3 to z. Now if I say x, it will print 1, y 2, z 3. Now this type of assigning values comes handy when we want to create variables which are related to each other. Something like, let's say I want to specify a point in a 3D space. Okay, or something like this. If I have to create a length comma height equal to 23 comma 21. Now if I say length, it will print its value. If I say height, it will print its value. Okay, so here I created related variables, length and the height, and assigned it value 23 and 21. So 23 is given to the leftmost variable, which is length, and 21 is given to the second variable, which is height. Okay, now these naming conventions that we have used are need to be similar to what we call in a readable and understandable way. Like if I just say x equal to 10, y equal to 20, and z equal to, let's say, 43, that doesn't make sense because now I have not defined what that x, y, and z mean. It can be a point in 3D space. It can be some number that I'm trying to do in the mathematics. Maybe something like I'm just using some addition and trying to perform x plus y plus z and trying to get its value. So let's say if I do x plus y plus z, I get 6. Now this operation does not give any sense when you have x plus y plus z, because you don't even know what does that mean. That x, y, and z could be the price of the item that you have bought from the market, and you still have specified xyz, which doesn't give any sense. Hence, Python has given some rules which you need to use while naming a variable. So let's see those rules. As for Python standards, whenever you create a variable should only contain alphabet, a number, or an underscore. But you need to make sure that your variable name always starts with either a letter or an underscore. Number can come anywhere else after the starting character, but starting character has to be either underscore or an alphabet. You should use lowercase letter, but that's not hard and fast. Like Python is a case sensitive language, so capital A and small a are completely different variables for Python. But you should avoid using capital letters in creating the name of the variables. It's good advice to use lowercase letter. You should use underscore in place of the spaces. Like, let's say I want to specify the number of people. So number of people as a string, or sorry, not as a string, but number of people as a name of the variable will have spaces in between, which is not allowed in Python. You should replace those spaces with underscore. So let's see the example first. Now let's create number of people. See, it complains that there is a syntax error because we have an invalid syntax in a variable name. Now I can always say number of people equal to, let's say, 10. It is now still giving an error. The reason being, it doesn't know why we have that space in between. So to give a meaningful name, we should always replace these spaces with underscore. Now Python understands it. I can say, and see, it is now storing value 10 for the variable number of people. So your variable name should be meaningful. As a rule, you should not have spaces in a variable name that we already saw. We should not be using reserve words and built-in identifiers. So the reserve words that we already saw, few of them, like int, float, str for string. So these are the reserved words by Python. Of course, it's not hard and fast. Python does not give any kind of a penalty if you use them, but it is always advisable not to use those special keywords and built-in identifiers. So what are these that we will be looking throughout this course, and you will get to know what are these keywords and what are these built-in identifiers. If you want to know what are these keywords and the built-in identifiers of Python, you can always Google for keywords in Python, and Google will give you the proper results which you can go through. Okay. Let's see the different types of assignment operators that we can use along with the variables. So we have the assignment operators like plus equal to, which is for the addition, subtraction equal to, which is for the subtraction, multiplication equal to for the multiplication, and division equal to for the division. But these operators are completely different than what we saw in arithmetic operations. So let's see what are these operators and how to use them. So let's say I bought some items from the grocery shop. Like, let's say I bought Maggie, which is at 10 rupees, paste, which is at, let's say, 15 rupees, and maybe a cookie at 5 rupees. Now if I want to see the total amount, I will always say Maggie plus paste plus cookie, and it will give me the total value. But let's say I again realize I also wanted to buy a chocolate, which is, let's say, at 20 rupees. Now I want to see what is the total amount. If I say total plus chocolate, it is giving me 50. But if I say total, it says 30. So the total value, it's still 30. I just try to add chocolate to it. So to add the chocolate to the total amount and still have total as a 50 total amount, I need to do the operation like this: total equal to total plus chocolate. Now if I see total, it will be 50. Okay, now if you see here, I used total's value, added chocolate's value to it, and then again assign this total value to the total variable, right? Now here I'm unnecessarily using that total variable name twice. We can actually improvise this by saying total plus or equal to chocolate. But of course, now if I see total value is 70 because I again added value of chocolate to the total. Now let's say I want to maybe remove one of the chocolate, right? So I can always say total equal to total minus chocolate, and my total value become 50. But same operation can be actually converted to total minus equal to chocolate, and my total value will become now 30. Okay, similar way, let's say I want to calculate total taxes that, or maybe handling charges that I have to pay along with my total amount, and it is, let's say, 5% of the total amount. So my total is right now 30. So I can say total equal to total plus, I need to take 5% of the total amount, right? So total into 5 divided by 100, or same operation I can just say 0.05, and my total will become 31.5. So it has calculated the handling charges. But now if you see this operation, I can actually divide it into, let's say, charges equal to total multiplied by 0.05, and my charges are now 1.575000000002. So this is something odd. Why? Because this is how Python is trying to handle floats. So we have 0.05 as a floating point value. In normal mathematics, we could have got 1.575 as a total value for this, for the charges. But in Python, float is an approximation. Hence, we have that approximate value which is having 0.000000 for after 575, and you have at the end 2. So this is an approximate value for the charges. Of course, it doesn't affect much in this operation, so we are not going to worry much about it. Now let's perform the same total operation with the addition with the charges. Now let's see the total. Of course, we already have added the charges, and the cost was 31.5. Now we again created the charges and applied it again, right? And hence our total value is 33.075. Okay. Now similar way, we could have something like, let's say we want to give a discount on the total amount, but that discount I can say total divided by, maybe let's say 10%, which is as good as divide by 10. My discount amount becomes 3.3075. Now I can say total minus equal to discount, and my total amount becomes 29.7750000000002. Okay, so ignore that part which is after 7675. Now similar way we can have the multiplication assignment operator as well as division assignment operator. So just to give an idea, I can always say total multiplied by and equal to 10, and see the value of total, it becomes 297.675. I can also say total divide equal to 5, see the total value is 59.535. So I can do all these assignment operators on the numbers because of these variables. Now here you can see that I created variable total, right? And assigned it values, and over a period of time I got value which is 59.3535. Let's see, if I don't know the value which is available with total and I want to see what is its type, so I can say type total. So it says it's a float. Similar way, now we could have, let's say we had a Maggie as a variable. Say Maggie and its type is int. So now we saw how to get the type of from the variable. Basically, what type of value that variable is assigned to. Okay. Now let's say we create a variable name. Since we know a string is something which is present within double quotes or a single quote, so I can always say Rahul, or I can say name equal to Rahul. Both are one and the same thing. Let's see the type of this variable. Says it's str. That means it's a string variable. Okay. Now we already saw some of the operations which we can perform on string, basically concatenation and repetition. So let's see whether we can do that with a variable. So let's say I create another variable. Let's give it a name as last name equal to last name, etc. Okay. Now I can name plus last underscore name. It says Rahul Shelke. But as we already know, it literally joins them together without any space. So if we want a space in between, we can always say like this and it adds. But now let's say I want to apply some operations so that my Rahul R and Shirke's S will be capitalized. For that, there is a method called as a title, which we can apply, but we need to apply it either individually or we can apply it on the total value. So let's say, okay, so this works. If I want to apply it on the total value, I can say it works both the way. But what if I try to apply this on Maggie, which was our integer variable? It gives an error because title is a method available for strings, not for the integers. Now, why I'm calling it as a method? Earlier I called it as a function. The reason being, methods are functions, but the only difference between the function and the method is for an object or for particular type of object, whereas function can be for anything else. Like length is a function on a string. So if I say length, sorry, length and give it name as a value, it will say 5. But if I want to, let's say, add both of them together, to say 12. Now same thing I can also apply on only the space. It says 1. So length can be applied on anything that we want to apply it to. But title or lowercase, these are specific functions for strings, hence we call them as a methods. So as we have already seen the way how to create a variable, how to assign it a value, whether an integer, float, or a string, and how to use an arithmetic operations on the variables, as well as how to use the assignment operators on the variables. We also saw how to use concatenation and repetition on the variables. Now let's see the data types. Basically, we were explaining about types everywhere, like integer is a type, float is a type, string is a type, but these are technically called as data types. So let's see what is a data type.